Hey everybody, this is Theokinawakid'S here, and I want to say that these past couple of weeks, the past 2 weeks, have been the busiest 2 weeks of my life because I basically had to do midterms and I had to do it within a week, and I had to do this before Friday, and holy crap, it was stressful, and I couldn't really make any more reviews at the moment at that time. So with that being said, that's the explanation why you haven't seen a actual review, a Halloween review in a while because I've been busy, a lot busy. So yeah, so this is gonna be my actual review of the actual. Yeah, just ignore that. Yeah, just ignore that. Anyways, this is gonna be my actual review of the new Netflix horror movie, um, which is Vampires versus the Bronx. So what is this movie about? So, Vampires versus the Bronx is about more or less these three kids, kind of forget their names, who live in the Bronx in New York, who basically try to actually, like help their friend Tony, basically, who owns the local bodega, who basically is like, they're trying to save the community, save the Bronx from like, essentially, gentrification and all these new white people basically moving in, and they acting really mysterious. So basically, these two kids and this main guy, who basically this main kid, who's trying to save the community. He's doing protests. He's doing like fundraisers and all that stuff. So basically, it starts off normal, just an average day in New York. But here's the thing: weird stuff are starting to happen in the Bronx. People disappearing. People who are trying to move out are disappearing. A lot of people are winding up kind of dead, and these kids, three of them, basically had to figure out what's going on until they find out that, oh yeah, the actual new local like real estate business in the Bronx, um, like either it's called Paul Dory or something like that. Anyways, um, but let's go. Again, the names escape me at the moment, but this new real estate company that are owned by these really pale European types, yeah, they're vampires. Yeah, there are actual vampires in the Bronx, and they're trying to literally find a new homeland for themselves, seeing as how they got chased out of Europe, and now they're looking at new real estate or free real estate in the Bronx by, killing off all the residents. It's just like, well, we could either, die or just kill off all these, and basically, these humans, and basically, just, move in right here. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. And it's up to the main kid's friends to actually, save their neighborhood from the vampire menace. And this movie is pretty interesting because it's very much like Stranger Things or like a Gravity Falls, Stranger Things, or even the Goonies type of vibe, where you have invested amount of time get to know these characters and get to know their situation prior before the vampires start showing up with sucking blood. And I love the fact that they kind of portray the whole diversity of the Bronx with proper representation of African American and Latino culture, and how seamlessly, like how blended they are as a community and how united they are as a community against an outside force. And it starts off like your typical like horror movie fare with featuring kids. Like the kids knowing something strange, they realize there's vampires among them. They're trying to warn the people, trying to warn their parents and stuff. But unfortunately, nobody believes them, obviously, because, just because they're white just mean they're vampires. Like, so, yeah. Newsflash. If, newsflash for any horror fans, if your movie's predominantly black or minority based cast, and there's a one or two white people in it in a horror movie, chances are, though, actual white people are actually monsters, oddly enough, because, it follows the rules of Get Out and the whole Jordan Peele um, style of filmmaking where, you know, people of people of African American descent are the heroes, not the victims, and the actual outside force, mainly, those of the Caucasian persuasion, are actually the bad guys, aka the monsters. Again, it's like Get Out, only with vampires instead of like, taking over your mind, like by hopping. So, yeah, it's similar to Get Out. It's very much black focused and basically portraying another movie that portrays African Americans and or um, Latinos as the heroes instead of the victims. So I'm glad that it flipped the script and basically just like, hey, awesome. So it's a black vampire movie. We haven't had like something like that since I believe like a good black focused vampire movie since Vampires in Brooklyn. If I ever remember that, the 1990s movie with Eddie Murphy and stuff. Everybody remember Vampires from Brooklyn? Of Brooklyn? Yeah, I can talk today. Anyways, so basically there's also other themes going around this. Like, for example, like one of the kids is actually, kind of falling into the wrong crowd because, he's basically, his father was in a gang and basically, systematic to that whole lifestyle. The local gang is trying to recruit, one of the main guy's friends as part of the new street gang member, and basically, he was like, hey, do you want to end up like your dad? You do want to end up like jail? Nope. Then stop hanging out with these guys. And it's kind of cathartic to see these gangsters basically face up against the vampires when they roll up into an alleyway. And, like, the gangsters basically, like, shot them a couple of times. It's like, yeah, we're the best, man. And then, literally 2 seconds later, the vampires got right back up and killed all of them. Yeah, it's kind of both funny. It's a very funny and brutal moment, but yeah, it's one of those moments that make this movie pretty good. And literally, I love the fact that with this sort of storytelling, you get to have more of an in-depth and more personal relationship with all the characters. Like, there's a legit scene. Remember when I mentioned Tony, the guy who owns the bodega that the kids are raising money to save his store from, that they all go to hang out? Well, yeah. You know how, like, there's always one adult that actually kind of believes them towards the end until he gets killed off by the monster? Yeah, that's Tony's fate. Spoilers, but yeah, that's Tony dies in this pretty halfway through this movie, and basically it's a very touching moment where he has a badass moment where basically he starts to realize that like he owns the bodega that has a bunch of cameras rolling because it's a bodega in New York, and basically the one of the members of the real estate company, the vampires, she showed up basically like, oh yeah, so you hang out with Manny? He's like, yeah, he's pretty cool, man. I heard he's doing like a whole fundraiser thing for the bodega. I was like, yeah, you should come over. And then he looks into the camera and doesn't see her at the camera at all because vampires can be recorded on tape or seen in photographs. So literally he knows for a fact that this is a vampire and he needs to run the... He literally tries to fight back. Hell, his crucifix, crucifix necklace that he wears, because he's Catholic, basically helps him stay off the vampire for a bit until, the vampire uses his own wooden baseball bat as a weapon and basically bashes his head in. Oh, God. Yeah, let's just say, for an actual, like, Stranger Things, Goonies type of horror vampire movie, it's surprisingly dark and gory at times. So, be mindful of that. So, with that being out of the way, that's Vampires versus the Bronx, and it's a highly well-written and great feel-good type of horror movie that basically revolves around family and community and being of vampires. Yep. Nothing says family, community, and You know, and together then it's like beating up the undead. Yep, that's certainly a good point from my book. So, this has been the Okinawa Kid, and this has been my review of Vampires vs. the Bronx. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll be signing out.